I'm Paul Leston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. And all the staff changes you people were hoping and craving for, it all broke last night. NFL insider Aaron Wilson broke the story initially, and then more layers of the story continues to come out, even more than our YouTube shorts from last night. So we have new information to share with you. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But first, let's get to several guests joining us. And I got these guests before we even knew the news that occurred. So the gods just worked it out in our favor, I suppose. So first off, it's a Saturday. He's back from Romania. It's Hop on Pop who graces us with his presence. Pop? You're on mute. These old people in technology.
Hey now. Good morning, Coffee Club. It's good to be back in the United States of America.
There you go. Well, Papa, thank you for figuring out that mute button while you were overseas. Excellent. Great work. Great work.
Choke your ass out. That's next.
Oh, all right. A little aggressive. Perhaps more aggressive than Aaron Glenn with the old delete button on the computer on his coaching staff bio page. But let's go to another guest. This is a fan favorite as well. And you guys can follow all of his work with the three most dangerous letters in Jets content creator land. It's DKB, baby. And here he is, DKB Jets. He's back. Apparently we didn't scare him off last time. Welcome back, DKB.
Morning. Yeah, I'm fired up. Yesterday was a wild event, especially the timing of it all.
Yeah. Whoa. Are you okay, DKB? Are you feeling all right? Is something wrong in the DKB household? You didn't ask what's the good word? You just skipped over to some other verbiage? What about your catchphrase? My son has an action figure, DKB, and when he presses the button, he expects what's the good word? What the hell is going on over there? All this Aaron Glenn firing has you all over the place, pal?
Yeah, I'm all combobbled over here.
Okay. All right, I forgive you, DKB. That's all right. So DKB is there in the YouTube comment chats. Guys, make sure you click that and jump right over to his profile page and show your support. Before we get started, Pop, you just came from Romania, so you're probably better with these translations. Someone is gifting a Boy Green Coffee Club membership. I'm not sure how you pronounce this in Romanian, but who gifted this membership, Pop?
That's and I actually studied the Romanian language. I've been over there 3 times in the past actually 8 months, 3 times in 8 months. So
terrific. Okay.
I want to get this right.
The dialect, right?
The dialect, right? It's motherfucking chew, baby.
Here we go. Hit it. Booyah. All right. Who'd that membership go to, Pop?
TTLA1.
Did you say titty or is that TT?
T space T LA1.
Okay, that's good to know. By the way, 14 raffle tickets for Mother Effing Chew. Before we get started, folks, let's do some reading. Mother Effing Chew, thank you for the membership. So let's catch you guys up. I wrote them all down so we wouldn't miss any. Here are all the changes that Aaron Glenn made. Now, I also want to make this known. While we are all learning about these changes over the last 12-ish hours, these changes didn't necessarily happen over the last 12 hours. So a few reporters shared that timeline. So just that's sort of worth putting out there in the universe. But anywho, let's go to them. Quarterbacks coach Charles London, goodbye. Scott Turner, senior assistant and passing game coordinator, gone. Eric Washington, defensive line coach, gone. Aaron Curry, linebackers coach, gone. Roosevelt Williams, defensive assistant, gone. Alonso Escalante, defensive assistant nickel coach, gone. And then these are the 2 new ones, okay? Dre Bly, assistant defensive backs coach, gone. Wildly successful NFL player. More on him later. And then this guy isn't gone, but he's being reassigned. Tanner Engstrand, who was the offensive coordinator, is being essentially demoted. It sounds. My gut tells me this is no sourcing or anything, just sort of reading the tea leaves, being reassigned. He could fill Scott Turner's role as a passing game coordinator. That would make a lot of sense to sort of shuffle him off into that role, but maybe it'll be a different role. So long story short, it sounds by all accounts that we will have a new offensive coordinator. Let me read the specific verbiage. We have a brand new article that came out on Heavy on Jets. I just want to read this from Aaron Wilson on what Tanner Engstrand's new role is or how it's being figured out. It is Tanner Engstrand will remain on the staff, but, quote, his role, responsibilities, structure of his 29th ranked scoring offense is expected to change, is still being defined. So long story short, it sounds like there will be a new play caller on offense for that. So, folks, that's a lot to unpack with all of these names, for sure. DKB, we'll go to you first. What was your initial reaction? Because, like, there are 7 assistants on this sheet, and then that means AG already fired Steve Wilkes, 3 games left to go. And now his offense coordinator appears to change. Again, the verbiage is a little weird that it's still being defined, but it sounds like that's changing based on the reporting. And obviously, Banjo was spectacular. So what was your initial reaction to this amount of change from AG?
Yes, it's when I did the quick math in my head, I'm like, he fired somewhere between a third and half of his coaching staff, which is insane to think about for any coach in the league, right? If you have that much turnover, the question initially in my head was he did a hell of a job convincing Woody to not just can the whole coaching staff, right? At that point, you probably do just consider bringing in a new head coach. So I do think looking at the names is definitely warranted. There's a strong argument for each and every one of those coaches for why they shouldn't be employed going into 2026. But just the sheer number, and even if they weren't all fired on the same day, you imagine it's close, right? Days in between, maybe a week. So aside from the thought process of just the sheer number, the second piece was, I remember, I think it's Zach Rosenblatt calling out that they were waiting on the new defensive coordinator, right? Be able to analyze and determine who he wants to keep, who he wants to fire. So potentially a smoke signal, right? That we have a DC hire on the horizon here. And I don't know what that looks like behind the scenes prior to them coming on, but you imagine those are conversations in the interviews, right? So we'll see. I think probably we get more significant news here in the coming days, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great call. I had a similar one on the YouTube short that, again, Zach Rosenblatt reported that they were going to pause any firings of the defensive assistants. And a lot of these guys aren't surprising, I would say, because we all thought London should go. Washington and Curry had problems with the defensive line and linebacker. There was reported clashes between players and coaches. So those aren't surprising. And defensive assistants, I don't know how many people knew who Roosevelt Williams even was. So with all due respect for him. And then everyone else, again, I don't think there's a lot of surprises. Tanner being demoted and Scott Turner being fired are probably the biggest surprise of the group. But to your point, there wasn't supposed to be assistant changes until we had a new DC. There's no new DC hired, but in the interview process, all the in-person interviews this week, hey, do you like this guy or this guy? Do you want to keep him or him? Maybe you're starting to do some of those pushes coming forward here. Pop, let's go to that piece that DKB just said here, and it's also our poll of the day. You guys can get involved on YouTube right now and make sure you vote. So according to DKB's math, and I'm not going to double check his calculator. I trust his math. Okay. There's no 0.0% stuff we have to work here. That a third to 50% of AG staff just changed. So we asked this in the YouTube poll. You guys can vote on it. Does the overhaul the Jets coaching staff show that AG should have been fired as well? Yes, he hired these people, or no? Let him try to dig out of it. So we go over to you, Pop, to react to this massive list here, and also perhaps answer your own poll question there.
This is clearly indicative of why Aaron Glenn should have been fired.
Hey, what does that word mean, Pop?
Indicative? Yeah, we'll let the people look that up on the Google.
Okay.
All right, but this is clearly a sign that Aaron Glenn should have been fired. This is, the only reason he fired Steve Wilkes when he did was in a vain attempt to try and save his own job, right? So let's see, he fired his defensive coordinator. He's now fired his offensive coordinator. So 2/3, if you count special teams as an equal third, most people don't. The lion's share of his coordinators have been fired, right? This is, I don't know why. Maybe Aaron Glenn's got this folder of Like he's got this folder of Woody Johnson's like naked pictures of him with a mule or something. I don't know what the deal is, but he should have been fired, right? If Aaron Glenn was going to make these firings happen, it would have been, and we talked about earlier, I would have fired the quarterback's coach 6 weeks into the season. I would have fired the offensive coordinator 10 weeks into the season with the defensive coordinator. Doing it after the season is over, after it's all over. Now you don't know, right? You do it midstream, then you can make some decisions, right? These people were bad, and they're all people that Aaron Glenn accepted and hired. When it works like that, this was his team. He handpicked this team, and they sucked, right? So absolutely he should have been fired. And I will say this, it speaks volumes about Tanner if he's willing to step down. What kind of level of respect is he going to have, whatever his position is, unless he's the jockstrap collector? What level of respect is he going to have by the players in this new position? If he has anything, I'm not listening to you, Slappy. You were fired, right? You're going to sell popcorn in the stands. Great. He should resign, step away gracefully.
Who, Tanner, you're talking about?
Yes.
Oh, come on. Like, here's the thing. All right. So, in terms of the, should these guys have been fired? Charles London, obviously. The Jets just put together one of the worst quarterback rooms of all time. So, yes, Charles London, see ya. He's definitely worth.
But why wait to the end of the season? It was very clear that the quarterback room was trash, that they evaluated and picked. They knew so much not to draft a quarterback in last year's draft that Brady was going to cook. How's that work?
Okay. Aaron Glenn is a head coach for the first time in his life, and according to my pop, it should be the last time of his life. I'm aware, but I'm saying that as we're heading into this, Aaron Glenn going wow west, start firing people left and right in the middle of the season, because you said you would have fired several of these guys in the middle of the season if you're running the operations. So let's go into AG's shoes here. That if I was in AG's shoes, I would not be willy-nilly to fire people. Again, like to the Wilkes point of like waiting all the way to the final 3 weeks. I think I probably would have done it sooner than that, because I would have all the information. I'm inside the building, so I'm seeing things beyond what we can see from the outside. And I would have assumed that would have led me to a easier decision to fire him in the middle of the year. But man, you made these hires. So like, it's like Darren Muji on draft picks. You don't want to cut a draft pick. I drafted that guy. I want to give him every chance to work his way out. Same thing for AG. He hired all these people. He wants them to have every chance to make him look like a genius by turning it around, and eventually get to a point of no return. Oh shit, this ain't gonna happen. Wilkes, you're gone. And now he's making some additional changes. But I go back to DKB's point that he said, damn, I mean, AG must have had a hell of a pitch in that meeting with Woody, right? Because Woody's pissed after the season. He calls AG to his office, goes, dude, what the hell? 3-14 and disaster all over the place. And I imagine one of the next questions out of Woody's mouth was, all right, AG, what the hell is the plan to fix this? And if I don't like your answer, you're fired. And he must have given a very compelling answer of how he plans on turning this thing around, because Woody went, okay. And AG remains the coach. So obviously that pitch must have been pretty gosh darn compelling, I imagine here. DKB, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, when you, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? When you're that trash in your season, then it's very easy to say, well, here's some steps to take that, gets us to at least an acceptable level. And here's the steps to take to get us to, the elite level. And I think a lot of that still just centers around what is Aaron Glenn's role going to be, right? That kicks off the whole thing, because nobody in their right mind would expect him to find a quarterback, develop a quarterback, meaning him specifically, right? It's not his area of expertise, and right the ship on offense. You're going to need to just hire the right people on that side of the ball. But defensively, you have to have that year 2 solo switch pretty much immediately, right? And you need to jump back into a top 10 status based on the players that were doing well that are still on the roster, the players you expect to add via the draft, right? Having an Arvell Reese or a Ruben Bain or whoever this top guy is that should come in and maybe be at worst league average as a rookie. and you have the free agency to go in and filter some things. So if I'm Aaron Glenn and I walk into that room with Woody Johnson and I'm trying to think of what my game plan is going to be, I'm probably going in there and saying everything under the sun and stars that I can, right? I'm pulling in Jupiter, Pluto, some of these other planets, right? We're going to make those align. I'm going to come in here. We're going to overhaul this coaching staff. These were guys that I thought were coming from great coaching situations prior, and something didn't click with this staff, and that was my fault. I had Steve Wilkes in here. I wasn't overseeing that directly, right? I didn't have my direct Detroit Lions influence on kind of how we operated. I was trusting him to get it done. And he didn't end up being the long-term answer for us. And by virtue of that, we're clearing out every, body who had an association with him, which makes sense in the case of like Eric Washington, who's been labeled as a Steve Wilkes guy. You look at the issues in between players and like linebacker coach Aaron Curry, for example. So the timing of it is bad and year one is bad. And so I think a lot of people are just still snowballing and reeling from the season. But at the very minimal, to me, this shows that Aaron Glenn isn't so stubborn that he's just willing to live and die by what he assembled that he thought was going to work in year one. He's making changes. We might not like the timing of it, but he's making changes. You assume, based on the coaching candidates that we saw, we have a pretty good chance of getting one of the DCs that most people should be, enthusiastic about. So you get a great hire there. Aaron Glenn should be more involved. So now you have the veteran leadership, and what we really should have got in year one anyways with Aaron Glenn. And we'll see what happens on the offensive side in terms of how they try to support Tanner over there. But he's at least making the changes, right? Even in Robert Sala's case, it was kind of like, I'm going to live and die by my scheme and what I know to be true and the guys that I assembled to make things work. So,
yeah, two things here. First off, I think we all agreed that, yikes, this infrastructure to either develop a quarterback or a veteran to come in is not good. At the end of the season, heading into the offseason, like, yikes, I don't know if I trust these individuals to be able to develop or maintain, again, if you get a proven veteran in. So the fact that AG put a stick of dynamite and chucked it down the mine here and is blowing it up, Charles London was terrible. Good to move on. Scott Turner is, we don't have enough to, sort of ascertain how good or terrible of a job he did. He was a pass game coordinator. The passing game sucked. So sorry, pal. You're caught in the crossfire there too, from an offensive standpoint. And now we don't know. So this is where silence can send some people insane. So we've seen who the 8 people the Jets have interviewed for the DC role. One of them has been since hired somewhere else. So now that list is down to 7. So we know that the next offensive coordinator of Jets is somewhere in that 7. What we don't know is the mystery of offensive guys, especially now that we have all these holes. The Jets may have actually interviewed people, and I assume they have behind the scenes, that we have no idea about. We've had 0 reports of anyone that they've spoken with. So now it's that great silence. Do we trust the silence that they're doing all the right things or not? And for that, you just have to wait and see. But let's take it to this level here, boys, because on social media, there's just a lot of angry Jet fans that are saying, AG isn't freaking interviewing anybody because, right, none of the individual interviews are being reported. What an idiot. This guy's not even interviewing anybody. He's sitting on his hands. Fire AG. And then the Jets release a list of 8 guys they spoke with, and then the people are like, well, the list sucks. Screw AG. That's terrible. You're like, okay. All right, here we go. And then people at the end of the season, this coaching staff sucks. Make changes. Jesus. The staff stinks. AG makes all these changes. Whoa, making all these changes. You're feeling the hot seat, aren't you, buddy? You suck. You should have been fired. So no matter what happens, these angry Jet fans and their torches and pitchforks are just bitching a bitch all over the place on social media. Again, did AG do a terrible job? Obviously. He's 3-14. Did he hire all these people that he has since turned around and fired? Yes, that blood is all over his hands. But I don't know. Let's try to, before we stone him to death, can't we see who the hell he's hiring at DC? Because if he hires Jim Leonard, we're going to have a lot of, maybe people are going to man up to apologize, but we're going to have a lot of apologies about shit. Sorry, AG, you got a very competent, inspiring hire. or whoever the hell they hire on offense. It's going to be hard to be worse than Charles London, so that should be a net positive by default. So that's the thing that I don't understand. And Pop, you have very angry look on your face and this eye roll emoji. So please grace us with your presence. What do you have to contribute to this particular conversation?
Yeah. So a few things.
Okay. Sure.
And this it's not about Aaron Glenn, and it doesn't matter who, right? And people said in the comments, we actually spoke about it before we came on, right? The Jets are an organization, right? Mm-hmm. And you have the output of the organization. In this example, is wins or losses. It could be sales, it could be making widgets, it could be a lot of things, but it happens to be wins. And there is a perpetual motion of an NFL season. And so the fact that it was going badly and decisions were not made from between week 1 and today. And I agree that probably these firings happened a while ago. We have no idea.
Yes.
But here's my concern. He hired these people. He let, whatever his 2/3 of his offense coordinators go, all these coaches go. And we have no empirical evidence that he's capable of turning the Jets around, right? Yeah, well, G. Willikers, he's a rookie head coach. No, he's in charge of a multi-billion-dollar organization, and he's fucking it up. And the Jets are in a unique situation, right? So how do we know in the second, this second time around with the coaches, we're really going to try harder. We don't know what it looks like. And we have no evidence, no runtime that he's capable of leading an organization. We just don't. And with that being said, the Jets are in a place that I think no other NFL team in the salary cap era, right? Or in the draft, the modern day draft, where you don't have like 20 rounds like back in the day. Nobody has more draft capital. Nobody has more cap space than the Jets. And I wouldn't let somebody that I'm not sure is capable of leading an organization. That's why I think we should let Aaron Glenn go. It's not personal. We have $1 billion organization that was ran poorly last year. The person hired his entire managerial staff, and he let 2/3 of them go. They're in a unique situation where they have a significant amount of capital to spend. They have a significant amount of opportunities to get some of the best. Correct me if I'm wrong. 4 of the top 44 players, right, in the NFL in the upcoming draft.
That's correct.
Yeah. So 4 of the top 4. I don't know if that's ever happened before. And so I don't let this guy with all these things.
22 draft, Breece Hall and the 3 first-round picks are all in the top 36.
With no evidence to the contrary, I don't let him. Because, by the way, a year from now, it's going to be too late. Those 4 draft picks are going to be selected. That money is going to be spent. And if we're sitting here again with another crappy season, another wasted effort, and then we fire him, like, well, that probably was a sign when he fired 2/3 of his coaches. So that's all I'm saying. It's not personal. We gave it a shot. It's not working out. I would say in a different scenario, without the cap space, without the draft picks, he maybe gets a second year. This is a unique situation that I don't give him the second year.
So 2 things. First off, on the draft picks, I get that there's a narrative when a new head coach or GM combination comes in. He's got to get his own guys. But when you come into situations and the players are just really good, you're like, sweet, they're already here, right? Like A.G. Muji get hired. Garrett Wilson was already here. I know that's not their draft pick, but they apparently, as we found out, had no problem extending him and getting him in there. So for these 4 picks in the top 44, while I get there may be some scheme-specific things, if the Jets take Ruben Bain versus Arvell Reese, and then a new regime comes in next year and it's 3-4 to 4-3 and all this other jazz, sure, that could be part of it that is beyond my pay grade to explain. But for the most part, if they just draft good players, and the draft part of it has been okay for AG, Armand Membu was really good. Mason Taylor is up in the air. We can debate about some of that, but let's just stick to the first round then. Armand Membu is really good. So their temperature on taking players, not bad. So,
they're the best player available. It's not, you don't get a cookie, right? When you get down in the 5th and 6th rounds and you get a gem, then you've done something. Picking a top player in the top 10 because you watched Mel Kiper last night before the draft, right? That there's no cookie for that. And here's two other things, and then I'm
Okay.
right.
Sure.
I'll just want to talk about the other reason. The other reason is there are, contrary to what you have said in the past, there are more high quality head coaching candidates available or have been available since the end of the year than have been available in a long time. And those people, unlike Aaron Glenn, we know they can build an organization. We know they can get results. We are hoping that Aaron Glenn could do better for the Jets. And then I'll just go back to this defensive coaches thing, and I'll step aside.
Yeah.
This defensive coach thing makes zero sense. All these people should have been fired the day after the season. I don't let people that I'm interviewing say who I'm going to hire and fire. Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, right? What do you think? What would you do if you had the Jets job? Oh, you don't think so? Hold on. I'm going to, hey, go fire all those guys because this Jamoke over here said that he's not going to keep them.
But he should have a say,
you wait,
right?
Right. And then you wait until he's actually hired, and then they can go through it.
Okay, so just a quick thing to DKB's point, right? So, like, maybe that's something we don't know. So all this week they've been doing in-person interviews. The only two that I know that we know, it sounds like Durante Jones and Chris Harris was the interim last year, are the only two that I think are publicly known did in-person interviews, which are essentially finalists, I suppose, for lack of a better word, for the defensive coordinator job. But there could be others that haven't been reported. What if the Jets have identified their guy to like the 99-yard line, and that person strongly indicated during second-round interviews, hey, what do you make of all these assistants? And if the Jets fired them, that would seem to indicate that they know who the next DC is going to be. If you're just connecting dots, I don't know if that's 100%, but that's just speculative.
Yeah, you wait until you hire the guy, and then you make the moves, or you clean house the day after. Black Monday would have been Black Monday, and I'm cleaning out all the defensive coach's office, right? You don't do it, obviously, week 15 when you fired Wilkes. You can't do that. Somebody's going to coach, although apparently it didn't look like it. Somebody's going to coach the defense for the last 3 games of the season. After the season's over, you're like, by the way, everyone that has a job here with the Jets, take one step forward. Oh, no, not you, defensive coaching staff. You're out. Elliot Loudermilk is leaving early today.
Look at this. We're getting a super chat in here that I totally disagree with, but let's get it. Lou B, Super Jets fan, with a super chat in here. Wow. You have to spend $2 to say this? Pop should be the GM of the Jets? Straight facts? And we have another super chat. I'll get to that in just a second. I'll add that to Lou B's super chat total so far this month. He's up to an outstanding 18 raffle tickets. I'll update the banner, guys, in a little bit. I don't know if I agree with that at all. And then Chef Kevin Gilbert, fastest food reviews. Wow. Morning, guys. AG clearly has an eye for coaching talent. Yes, I can't lie. When I'm attempting to defend AG, and I feel like I sort of got a nice rhythm of, like, I'm Wonder Woman, ching, 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 and I'm deflecting at all these things coming. I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good. And then they start bringing up AG quotes from pressers, and that's where I'm like, oh, it's coaching, and there's just no other way to put it. He has just said a lot of stupid shit this year that is very difficult to defend. I can't lie.
I would never have thought that anybody could beat out saying any head coach in the history of the New York Jets could say more stupid shit than Robert Saleh did. I was wrong. It was the next head coach that did it. But right, his smugness, right, his jackassery with the media, him calling out Robert Saleh, right, for being a terrible coach, right? We have no need to draft a quarterback because we know better. Yeah, all these things sound so great.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we're going. Yeah, another stupid one. Justin Fields. We're going to let him play quarterback. And then here was another one. This is perhaps the worst thing, as we're just doing this AG beat up session. Then I have something positive, hopefully, to say about AG. Is that when he said at his introductory press conference, "Fans, I'm going to have a team that you're going to be proud of. That's my goal." And we're all like, yeah, we want to be proud of our team. That makes sense. And then, like, 7 weeks into the season, they're 0-7 or something. And then that quote gets brought back up to him, like you said, hey, coach, like 7 months ago, whatever, you said that you wanted the Jets to be a team that their fans could be proud of. AG interrupts and says, "Well, I didn't say proud of him now." And I'm like, "What?" Like, that was just what? Why would you say that? That's like to indicate that when you said proud, you meant like, well, 12 weeks and 3 days from now they'll be proud. Like, what is you just leave it dead and you don't go back to it. That was stupid. But here's the thing. But doesn't AG? So okay, he fired a bunch of guys. Woody bought what he sold. Doesn't AG deserve a chance to dig himself out of this hole? Because I saw it brought up. You brought up Saleh earlier. Robert Saleh had just as bad of a defense as AG just had this past season. At least he caught a few interceptions, but he had just as bad of a defense. They were bottom 3 in every major metric, and Saleh was able to come back. And there was none of this heat like, oh boy, we got to get rid of Saleh. The only heat I remember was, oh boy, we got to fire Jeff Ulbrich. He stinks. Well, but there was no talk of firing Saleh. Why did Saleh get a pass a couple of years ago, but AG doesn't get a pass? Everyone says put AG's head on a pike. Is it just because he's a little bit more brash at pressers? So perception-wise is why people have the torch and the pitchforks? Like, this is an open question for both DKB and Pop of like, why does there appear to be a vehement, intense electric heat on AG that there wasn't on Saleh, but Saleh had a terrible record. They won 4 games? He won one more game, yippity doo-dah, in his first year. And his defense was just, look back at it, people, if you forgot. Before they turned it all around in year 2, that defense was dog shit in what would that be, 2021. So why does AG get the heat and Robert Saleh doesn't? DKB, give me some answers.
Yeah, man. So I want to say it generally all starts with like the bravado, right? So there's a certain air that he walks into the building with, and I honestly have no problem with it, right? I'm an East Coast person, so I kind of get the general mentality and stuff that we kind of walk around with to a certain degree. But also, you kind of need that in the Jets building to survive, right? Especially if you're going to be having a subpar, historically trash season, whatever that looks like. Anything that ultimately doesn't result in playoffs right now is going to send us off on a tangent that's going to make someone want to go and hang themselves most times if you're one of those people that are just reading comments all day, right? So in Aaron Glenn's case, you have the media personifying him in a certain way, which is, oh, he's aggressive, he's going to push back, we can't ask certain questions. Oh God, I have to think about how to ask questions in a different way. So they have this narrative out there that he's making their job extremely difficult. And you had the early rumors and kind of the continuous reports that he has this no gag order that's out there. So now he's stopping the organization from giving details and insights to the media. Then you have, of course, all of his press conference stuff. And there's probably 1 or 2 quotes in each one of those that are just kind of, knives in the back for Aaron Glenn. And then you do have all of this early momentum with him coming in and, we're built for this shit. We're the fucking New York Jets. I'm going to give you a team that we're proud of. And it's about coaching and, essentially that he has this vision that should kind of be the instant coffee success that we're looking for. And then none of it like at all materializes in the season, right? And then you start to see kind of this de-evolution of Aaron Glenn, where in the press conferences, now it's not every question is combative. Now it's like 80% of it is pushback. Then it's, I got to walk back some of these quotes about how proud you can be early on in season 1, or, what the win total was expected to look like, or even Justin Fields being the guy for you, right? Then you have to continue to walk back more and more and more. And so now you lose a lot of their early conviction and credibility that would have been built up before wins mattered. You lose confidence in the entire game plan for how you get the New York Jets relevant and winning and back in the playoffs. And now, even when you try to course correct and you're fixing these moves, right, then you still have everybody poking and prodding and kind of hitting you with the stake where it's, oh, well, obviously you needed to do this, but it's like, can I win or can I lose in this situation? It ends up being a lose-lose because you assembled these guys. You said we could win and we could do all these things with it. That didn't work out. You're recognizing that. and you're trying to make the proper changes, and now still we're biting his head off because it's, well, why didn't you just make it work with these guys as opposed to go find the right guys? And so I just globally, I can kind of see all the little fires that are happening at once, and they just happen to sync up and created an inferno for him. But he's going to deal, like, there's nothing he's going to do this offseason that's going to fix everything. And I just mean that in the most generic sense, right? He could make literally every perfect move. He can hire Jim Leonard. He can go out there and pick whatever the best offensive senior, I guess, offensive coordinator for Tanner, whatever that looks like, and a quarterback coach. He could find a way to trade up and get Mendoza, and everybody will be pissed until we ultimately still get 9-10 wins, right? So winning's the only thing that's really going to fix and show that he was able to course correct the proper way. But all of the little moves that he is trying to make right now definitely matter. And I think between the quietness, between the timing of everything that's kind of happening, because it seems like with Aaron Glenn, which to me is a good news, we often get a lot of these reports that are like breaking news, and then we find out, oh, this has been happening. This has happened for a while now, and we're just finding out. So I think there's a lot of that stuff too, to where it's like we can't even process news in real time for what's going on, and there's kind of delayed satisfaction or delayed anger in a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Well, yeah, I see a fan in here, so we'll go to Jay Klein. He says, "Did Salah scream about winning now?" And I thought I remembered a quote in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to speak out of turn. That's not me. I want to have the facts. So I said, oh, let me go back to the Robert Saleh introductory press conference, because I remember distinctly a comment he made, and I've confirmed it. He brought up Super Bowls in his introductory press conference. But, oh, we're going to forget about that 6 years later? So Jay Klein says, did Saleh scream about winning now? He brought up Super Bowl championships in his introductory press conference. Does that count in the same way? Again, it's interesting, the perception. Aaron Glenn is a pariah. Oh, my God, get him the hell out of here. But Robert Saleh, in his introductory press conference, brought up Super Bowls. Did Aaron Glenn bring up Super Bowls in his introductory press conference? I don't think so. So that's the thing I don't understand. So, Pop, you jump in here because, again, I need an answer. And maybe you'll be able to provide it, maybe not. Why does Saleh get a pass but AG doesn't? Saleh, there was zero. I remember 6 years ago or 4 years ago, whatever it would have been after his first year, there was zero heat thought about Saleh should be fired. There was 100% heat that Aaron Glenn should be fired after the same time frame and very similar seasons. Why?
So your argument is, why don't we bring, Adam Gase in or some of the other trash coaches that we've had in the past? But here's the thing, because this season was historically the worst one of the worst teams in NFL history. That's what the Jets were. How many interceptions did they get this year? Has it ever happened before? How many takeaways did they get this year? Isn't that the lowest it's ever happened? They lost by an average of 14 points per game, 2 scores per game, including the ones they won. The point differential between them was one of the worst in NFL history. These are some of the reasons that he's getting a little more heat than Robert Saleh, right? These are the reasons. The other reason is we'll have to give a shout out to Alon, because I was going to bring this point out, and I'm 100% aligned with him. Nobody 12 months ago would have thought that the Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl this year. And why are they going back to the Super Bowl?
Wait,
right. Just
AFC Championship game, not the Super Bowl. There's no guarantee.
They're going back to the Super Bowl. So shut up, moron. So who thought they were, and why are they in the position they're in? Because of a head coach. 1 year turnarounds in a very similar situation with a lot of cap space. Yes, they had a quarterback conceivably that the Jets do not, but coaching matters. Coaching matters. But I would also share with the entire team, right? We all have 2020 perfect vision in hindsight. Nobody was thinking that he would be an MVP candidate 12 months ago. Nobody
That's
was
fair.
thinking it.
Of
No
course
one was thinking that. Right. So now to say, well, they have a quarterback. Well, of course they have a quarterback because now they're 14-3, whatever their record was, and they're going the AFC Championship game with a broke-ass quarterback that nobody would ever even thought to start. He's a Brady Cook level. That's who they're facing.
But there's
right?
more than
But
black and white, though, right?
Coaching matters. Coaching
there's
matters. That's what I'm saying. That's why the Jets are getting the heat. I'm just answering your question. Why is Aaron Glenn getting more heat? Because the Jets are in the situation the Patriots were 12 months ago and getting a solid coach and turning this organization around. Because as you remember, mayonnaise said, we got money to burn, baby. Well, the Jets have money to burn and need to have a right head coach to spend it. I'm answering your question. Now I'm done.
I appreciate that. I just think there's more than black. Did I think a year ago that Drake May was an MVP candidate? Absolutely not. I didn't. But I also didn't think he was a bum. He was a top 3 pick that showed upside in his rookie season. More upside than the cast of current characters of Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, and Brady Cook. So he was a very talented quarterback. I wasn't naive to that. I didn't think he was an MVP candidate. So obviously there is an upswing here that happened. But that's a massive difference in a quarterback-driven league that they were able to have that. And again, go Jarrett Stidham, please. Don't let this happen, Jarrett Stidham. We need that to be changed around. So I want to go around the room to make sure that because we have a lot of content today, and great, blessed be he. By the way, we have 400 people in the room. Make sure you guys show your support no matter where you're watching, whether you're on the DKB channel. Make sure you guys like that video. Whether you're over here on the Boy Green YouTube channel, I see we have 150 people here on YouTube watching my channel right now. Make sure you guys like the video. We're going to open up the phone lines here in a little bit, but I want to make sure that we got everything off our chest on the coaching staff changes and any topic matter revolving around it. So we'll go around the room here. I'll go to you, DKB. If you have nothing, you can feel free to punt. The Jets did plenty of that this season. Shout out to Austin McNamara. So if you have nothing more to add, we've addressed everything that you wanted to besides whatever fan questions will come up. Feel free to punt, but we'll let you start it around because we talked about a ton of stuff. And again, for those who may just be joining us, Charles London, Scott Turner, Eric Washington, Aaron Curry, Roosevelt Williams, Alonzo Escalante, Dre Bly have all been fired, and then Tanner Engstrand is being reassigned to a different positional group. So anything else we didn't get to here with this conversation, DKB?
Nah, I mean, well, yeah, right. I think you could always dive deeper into all this stuff, right? But I'm sure that'll come up between calls, between whatever else happens to trigger one of us, because there's a lot of stuff that can cause that with these conversations for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I'll probably be interested to see if anybody has any more Tanner related stuff, because I heard about it right before I recorded my video last night and went to sleep. And I woke up and I didn't see too much more, but I wasn't sure of all the details until I saw some more of what you broke down today. So I'll be curious what that looks like, right? Because is it actually him moving to like a position group, or is he just working more as like a pass game coordinator technically, and then someone else is coming in as the play caller?
It's a great question. So when Aaron Wilson, and for those who don't know Aaron Wilson, he's a generic NFL insider. He covers the whole league, but his day job is as a Houston Texans reporter. So when he reported it, what I thought was going to happen, so he broke the news and everyone's yelling at the Jets beat, oh, you guys can't do anything. What I thought was going to happen is Aaron Wilson was going to pop the balloon and air was going to start pouring out of the balloon. And then the Jets reporters are going to confirm that, and they give us additional detail. Like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, he broke the story, but here's the real story. Tanner is going to be a this, that. And we haven't seen any of that yet. So that has surprised me, because that's what I did. Last night when I saw the Tanner thing, I immediately started going to our beat reporter social media. Okay, one of them has to have the greater story here. Boom, 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 boom. Went through all of them, nothing. This morning, I'm like, all right, now they had a night to sleep on it. Is there a new article out, a new column explaining this? Boom, 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 check. Nothing. So at this point, again, this is the reading. You guys can read this and tell me if you see something different here. This is the direct verbiage that Aaron Wilson used to reference Tanner Engstrand. Quote, his role, responsibility, structure of the NFL's 29th ranked scoring offense is expected to change and is still being defined. Some people on social media have interpreted that to mean that he's being demoted and that he's going to some other role. Is it what you said earlier, DKB? You sort of talked around this. Like, could Tanner stay the OC, but someone else is calling plays? Because that happens across other teams where the offense, Dan Campbell, right? While our former Jets offense coordinator, John Morton, was the OC. Dan Campbell took over play calling, said he was the play caller, and OC does other stuff that we don't all know about with game planning on a week-to-week basis. So that's what I'm sort of curious about. Do they just bring in a big-name offensive coordinator, and he's the guy running the ship, and Tanner's just his lackey? Is it a senior person overseeing it? I don't know. So there seems to be a lot more questions than answers there. So hopefully, even during the show, if you guys see a report on social media or anywhere, please super chat that in and definitely let me know. So yes, so hopefully more of that conversation is pushed with the audience and some of the fans coming in. Pop, is there anything else we haven't addressed here with this coaching staff? And I see we have a super chat. I'll get to that before we get to the phone lines. Anything with this coaching staff, AG, the changes, the potential additions to come that you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I'll just circle back to it. Tanner is an example. What they just did with their defensive coaching staff is an example. It looks like Jets being Jets. Like, it looks like they're confused and all over the place. And I won't give that analogy that I used a few weeks ago about that.
Please don't.
But you either keep the coaches until you hire a coach, not when you're in the hiring process. And even Tanner, does the new offensive coordinator want this guy hanging around? So it's just confusing what they're doing. The guy has no credibility once you demote him, right? You can make a lot of excuses and have kept Tanner. But the fact that you're demoting him without knowing who the offense coordinator, it's just confusing and comical is what it is.
All right, let's get to a super chat here. RJ MacPot, an important question that's not getting enough pub this offseason.
Wow.
RJ MacPot 720, baby. You got a raffle ticket to our contest, and you're $1 away from another raffle ticket. More on that in just a little bit. If Nick Folk hangs it up this year, when do you think he announces it? Yes, Nick Folk is 41, and with about 2 weeks left to play, Rich Cimini reported that Nick Folk and his family are pondering retirement. Does he want to stick around? Does he not? He is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent. He's coming off a marvelous year. He missed one kick, was perfect on extra points, and hit a career-long 58-yarder. That was interesting, Pop. We were there for that one. Old Goose Limp Leg was able to hit a 58-yarder. Interesting. Against the Dallas Cowboys. We were there for that week 5. Anywho.
Isn't that their only score they had before the final 2 minutes of the game?
I'm not sure if that's true, but thank you for that. I'm not sure if that's accurate. But if he hangs it up this year, when do I think he announced it? I would say before free agency. So we have about, give or take, 6 weeks before free agency. That's what I would assume to do it. And again, I want to make this perfectly clear. I want Nick Folk to come back. He was awesome. If he goes out like this, he's going out on top. He's not going out because he can't do it anymore. But if he does leave, which I don't want, but if he does, how can you not trust Chris Banjo to figure it out? He figured everything else out. The identification, him and his staff, Chris O'Day, who's an assistant on the special team staff, identified Austin McNamara off a scrap heap. This guy he was a rookie. He had like a cup of coffee with the Bengals, got cut, was on a couch, and then the Jets just discovered him at a random camp in Arizona. So obviously he and his staff have an eye for talent. So if anyone could replace Nick Folk, and we as a fan base feel good about it, I think it's under the direction of Chris Banjo. So let's hope for that. But that's it. That's my assumption, RJ MacPot. We're going to get that somewhere in the next month-ish, if that is to happen. So hopefully he decides to come back. But again, every player obviously operates on their own timeline as it pertains to whether or not when they retire. Some people drag it out to the summer. We'll see what he decides to do for that. Before we open up the phone lines, let's get a couple of plugs, Pop. I see you're wearing some merch. I know we don't have that level of merch available anymore, but we do have other merch down in the Boy Green official merch shop, baby, so people can jump in on that. And they'll also have a chance to win some Boy Green merch. So let's throw this up on the screen, baby. We do a raffle every single month on our channel. All you have to do to be eligible is spend $3. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that little money sign, super sticker, super chat, gift channel memberships, buy a membership for yourself, and you're in the running for our contest. On February 1st, we'll do the drawing. So any raffle tickets submitted in the month of January makes you eligible. There's no limit to how many raffle tickets you can have. Obviously, the more you have, the better your odds are. But we have a mint flip coin from this past season. Comes with a certificate of authenticity. We have a brand new New York Jets polo, brand new New York Jets rivalry hat, our Woody Boy Green tailgate t-shirt from this year. We had a few extras, and it'll come with koozies and bottle openers. Plus, our brand new Boy Green merch shop down below comes with a brand new Boy Green coffee mug and a Coffee Club t-shirt donated by that guy on your screen. Hop on Pop. He's throwing that into the mix. So all of those prizes will be awarded on February 1st at random on the Wheel of Name Picker. So, Pop, thank you so much for your donation to the raffle for this month.
And you don't have to wait to win the raffle. You can get your own Instant Boy Green Coffee Club cup for $10. $10. Sure. Are you kidding? How much did you say? $10. What? How much is a t-shirt? Is it $30? Is it $35? How much is it?
$15.
$15. So you can get a coffee club cup and a shirt for $25, where the average t-shirt nowadays is going $35. You get both for $25. Unbelievable.
It's pretty special. Boy Green 25 is my handle. Boy Green 25, and a mug and a shirt is $25. Who's making all the connections here? Maybe, possibly. Here we go, baby. All right, let's do this. Let's open up the phone lines, folks, so then you guys can yell about all kinds of Aaron Glenn things. It's me. It's Hop on Pop. It's your mama's favorite Jets content creator, DKB, baby. We're all back after this.
1, 2, 3. Whoa! Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man.
Moron!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. Everyone,
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets.
Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green.
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets.
Let's go!
Hep, an absolute legend here on the program, baby. All right, the phone lines are now open. That's youtube.com/boygreen25. And I appreciate Alon giving me a shout out here, saying 52 minutes is much better than 76. Yesterday on the Bob Lederer show, we didn't put up the phone lines till 76 minutes into the show, and that led to some dissatisfaction from the fan base. So, Alon, we're always improving for you, buddy. Pew pew. There you go. Out in the audience. Yes, sir.
I would just like to say, during Hep's song, Hep actually asked Boy Green and I to interject, saying zoinks and moron at the time. So it was not interrupting Hep's singing, which I would never do.
Actually, Hep said, please do not interrupt. And then Pop just kept going, moron!
Yeah, that's not, that's
that's
fake news. Fake news.
I'm not sure.
He would actually, if you look at the video, he is looking at me for me to yell moron. He asked me to do that, or I would not interrupt him.
I don't know. He looks scared. Like, oh, okay, guy, you can do whatever you want. Don't beat me up. Yep, that's what it seems like it happened. Well, let's get the real story. Let's go to Hep here, which, by the way, look at that beautiful
now
coffee mug, baby.
I'm savoring Josh Allen's tears. It still tastes good.
Tasty. Screw the Buffalo. Those bad words.
They taste better in this mug, too.
I bet they do. Yeah. So shout out to the merch shop.
Yeah, no, I did. I asked the guys because my original concept was there's a lot of empty space between the verses. And I was hoping really to have Soraya Luna going, wow, and all these things. But since you guys were there, I said, let's do it live. And,
pretty cool.
Your catchphrases going on.
Yeah, so, that was awesome.
Hey, DK, hey, Pop, hey, Paul.
Morning.
So let me get this straight. We fired our offensive coordinator as well?
It's not fired. It's reassigned is the word that
he's not the man though now.
That's what I would assume. So based on so here's how it all broke down last night. NFL insider Aaron Wilson. So he puts out, whoa, Jets fired 6 assistants. And we're like, oh my God, crazy. And then he puts out a thing. I know that at least one person on AG's offensive staff he's keeping, but reassigning. But he didn't say who the person was at first. We're like, oh, okay. I don't know who that is, but all right, let's keep rolling. And then later he gave additional updates saying Tanner appears to be the guy that's being reassigned. So yes, not only are the Jets seeking a new defensive coordinator, it appears they're seeking an offensive coordinator. And I'm just going to say this bluntly because we haven't said it so far on the show. Yikes!
I've never seen that in my whole. I've been watching football since 1969. I've never seen both, and not the head coach get it too. That's
Well,
weird,
hey,
man.
hey, here, you want some optimism, folks? You know, the Eagles fired both their coordinators, and
Did
then
they?
they won the Super Bowl, baby. So this perhaps to see
Okay,
some
okay.
history, perhaps. So the Eagles
Yeah.
just did this, and it was a great success. So maybe.
Well, I have to agree with Pop, because if I was
Oh.
part of an organization and I lost my boss millions of dollars in hirings, they would say, you know what, we like you a lot, but maybe you should move on, and they'd give me the old pink slip. I don't. Maybe it's the money they have invested in him already, or I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the plan is, but I don't know. Woody's, I think, is shell shocked from firing Salah last year mid-season, and that's what's kept him from doing anything, I think, this year.
And this is, remember, folks, when Robert Saleh was hired, Woody was the ambassador to the UK. So while maybe he gets a text approval, he wasn't the guy who hired or interviewed Saleh and the rest of the gang. AG is Woody's hire. Billionaires don't like to be wrong. For Woody to hire the 33rd team, go through this long, strenuous process and hire AG, and then either halfway through the season or at the end of the season going, yeah, fuck you, AG, get out. Like, that would look bad on him. Now, people could argue that it looks bad to keep him as is because they don't think he looks really good. You might as well rip off the Band-Aid if you think it's wrong, but Woody doesn't think it's wrong, so
Yeah,
let's
he
hope
can
he's
always
right.
blame it on the 33rd team, though.
That's true.
Whatever. Just blame these guys. I'm worried about Woody's feelings. The guy's a gajillionaire.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I don't know, man. Who do you think we could get as an offensive coordinator?
That's what I'm worried about, and that's where I was leaning towards. There is, I think Rich put it out, like there is like 10 to 15 teams looking for an offensive coordinator, and some staffs that are sort of in flux. People either are being hired and choosing to retain or not retain guys. People haven't been hired, and thus, so like there's like still 4 or 5 openings. So some of the people on the staff are being held hostage. So Jeff Ulbrich, before the Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski, Jeff Ulbrich was hanging in the limbo. He didn't know whether he was staying or going, but he was under contract. So there's a lot of offensive coordinators for our sake, and defensive coordinators for that matter. But more specifically to your question, there's a lot of offense coordinators that are hanging in the mix, and they're sexy jobs, right? Mike McDaniel, for now, has taken the LA Chargers OC job, but technically he's allowed to then leave to become head coach somewhere else.
All right.
That OC job again. So it's very confusing times, and I'm worried. Okay, so I'm like, oh man, they can find a defensive coordinator, and I like some of the names on the list. We've heard no one on the list for offensive coordinator, and boy, I just don't know what the sell is. The Jets don't have get a quarterback.
I tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel like we took it, like, as bad as the season was. I feel like right now we took another level. We took one floor down. We went down one down floor. It just seems a little bit more chaotic right now.
Right.
It's a little scary. Anyway, I keep saying we can only go up from here, but I felt like we just took it.
That's true.
Guys.
Appreciate it, Hap. Yeah, we could go around the room on that, and also the phone lines here. I'm, as the optimistic Jets fan in the room, I'm very concerned on who they can bring in to be the offensive coordinator. Now, I believe if they brought in a significant whatever that means, and they don't want Tanner Engstrand, the Jets would throw Tanner Engstrand, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air style, right out of the house if he doesn't like him. But I don't know who they're going to be able to bring in. The Jets don't have a quarterback right now. They have no direct path to acquire a quarterback. They have the number 2 overall pick in a 1 quarterback class. So unless the Raiders do something funky, which some people believe is going to happen, then okay. But it doesn't seem that way right now. You're going to have to get someone else's rejects, which is either Kyler, Gino, or Tua, for God's sakes, as one of those guys. And I don't know how attractive that is to an OC coming in. So I'm going to be fascinated like all hell, because they have to hire somebody. Who the hell is coming in here? And do they have any gravitas? Is it someone with a resume? Is it some unknown person that AG's taking a young upside Chris Banjo shot on, like he must have thought he was doing with Tanner? I don't know. I'm intrigued to see where they go from here. But who do you guys have any names that they could go with? Because we've heard no interviews, so everything apparently is on the table here. DKB, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Tanner news changes a lot, right? And technically in a good way, because so we're already having this conversation as if we need an offensive coordinator, right? That's not technically true. He essentially becomes the new Mike LaFleur. So, he's offensive coordinator
with the Rams you're talking about.
He's not calling plays. He's not doing
Right.
that whole ordeal. So if his responsibilities actually shift, then yeah, technically the senior person you're bringing in is like the new OC or whatever. But there were some names that I talked about maybe a week back that I thought would be interesting, right? Teams have already moved off from them and stuff in flight, but just based on kind of how they left and stuff, I would assume these would be good options, but in a lower tier for guys that already have connections elsewhere. So a couple of the names out there that could give us a boost. Kevin Patullo from the Eagles,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Not the best situation. He was my third option. Josh Grizzard from the Bucks. And I think he was just in a rock and a hard place, right? That offense probably seen more injuries than anything else in the NFL
True.
this year.
Mhm.
On top of just some of the physical liabilities they have with like Baker Mayfield, great guy, obviously turned his career around, but right, small, has the live arm. He's taking hits left and right. Evans is getting old. But you look at what they did with that offense, all those injuries. I think like 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen all got injured for like the year or
Mm.
significant part. So I like what he was able to do in terms of how the team performed, looking at him and looking at Liam Cohen. And the other name I had was Greg Roman, that
Oh
Harbaugh moved
boy.
on to the
Wow. Yeah.
Chargers. And he would probably be the more intriguing one, right? Because I do think Tanner showed enough to say that he can operate effectively as a pass game coordinator. That's why Aaron Glenn hired him. You can see the route concepts and stuff like that. So I think schematically some stuff works in the passing game, right? But with Greg Roman, it at least leaves you more options on the table, right? He's known to be able to develop dual threat quarterbacks, specifically with their ability to run, right? Not necessarily developing up a passer, but it gives you a couple options. If you do need to force the route of going and get a Kyler Murray, if you do decide, hey, let's keep Justin Fields in the building, he's going to be QB2 along with whoever we bring in, all of these guys at least get an immediate boost with someone that's established. They've known how to get essentially the most that they can out of a dual threat quarterback on the ground, and then being able to make their lives at least a little easier in the passing game. And we also get the run boost of if you keep a Brees Hall, whether it's Brendan Allen just coming back healthy, Isaiah Davis, or rookie draft pick, you get a huge boost in the run game from someone like Greg Roman too. And you get a bit of a more modern offense with what he does with motions and stuff like that. So there's some options. It's still going to be a tough draw for me to think that Aaron Glenn can really pull in anybody feasible. But there's only so many jobs in the league. There's only so long that these guys are going to be willing to wait. And when you have all of these major head coaches in flux, Harbaugh and them being out there, and you're seeing how quickly they're moving to get their staff together, everybody else is going to start trickling in. After the fact, you could be left with still a very solid crew of OCs, and now you just need to go out there and look. If Aaron Glenn can make the sales pitch to keep his job, he can make a sales pitch to get one of these offensive coordinators to come.
Good
Right?
point.
So
Yeah, maybe. We can only hope. Hop on Pop. Any names or anything?
I have a top three.
Oh, okay. I could get the sound effects for you. Sure, why not? Let me get in position here. A top 3. Wow. Okay. I just asked a question in passing, and Pop already's got a top 3 prepared. All right, here we go. All right, we'll go 3-1, I suppose. Here we
Number
go.
3.
Number 3, I go with Jay Gruden.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Drake, who, right? There's probably
Brother of John Gruden.
not another offensive coordinator out there who can throw the ball around the yard, and he can and could. He was a head coach and a starting quarterback for the Arena Football League for many years and won the
Did a
championship.
wonderful job.
So
Yes, yeah.
for those that poo-poo it, maybe you should Google it before you do so. So that's number 3.
All right.
I'm ready to move on.
Number 2.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Whoa. Former Jets quarterback, great Cliff Kingsbury. Okay. A reunion. I like it.
Right.
Okay.
He can develop a quarterback as well. So I'm looking for someone that can come in as an offensive coordinator and develop quarterbacks. These are people, maybe people think about it, maybe they're not. And then not to dominate the show, I'll roll to number 1.
Wait, real quick before we do that, I just had to Google this so people could see it. This is beautiful. I have a picture of former Jets quarterback Cliff Kingsbury. So here he is. For people, it did happen. It did occur. This was a real thing. Cliff was in fact a former Jets quarterback. So this would be my pop is playing Will Smith in Hitch. He's trying to get a love connection here. And here he is. Look at that. There he is. Cliff Kingsbury, number 3 in your program, but number 1 in your heart. Cliff Kingsbury. There you go. I like you. Okay. And then let's go to.
Yeah. Hold on. Before we move on, I would also offer him the offense coordinator and assistant head coach.
Well, there you go. And then you're saying if AG doesn't work out, Cliff, welcome to the head coach club, buddy.
Right. Well, I mean, not guaranteed. Not in a succession slate candidate like Mayo. But anyways.
Okay, that's probably for the best. All right, let's go to it.
Number 1.
You'll love this one. Josh McCown.
Oh, great. All right, Joshy. Okay, nice. He's in Minnesota. He's a quarterback's coach right now. An offensive coordinator role / whatever else you gave him would be an upgrade, a promotion that would be allowed. No lateral moves allowed, but no lateral move here. Joshy.
And he has been interviewed for head coaching positions in the NFL.
Yes.
Right. He is sought
about McCown, given what happened with McCarthy.
What do you mean?
Yeah, JJ McCarthy struggles.
The
I think he's
point the last couple years, right, was that, he made Sam Darnold look good, and then prior to that, the offense was still humming and stuff. But if we're going to do the recency bias thing, right, we're slaughtering Aaron Glenn for what happened this year. Results are results. He has McCarthy was a top 16 draft pick, something. Yeah,
he traded with the Jets, so he was 11th overall, I think.
There we go. So borderline top 10 draft pick, and McCarthy looks like a non-NFL quarterback starter.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm pretty sure that Josh McCown didn't draft him, right? And he didn't decide to let Sam Darnold go.
You have to imagine he's signing off. If you're a quarterback, you can't come
to the quarterback's coach
and just say, I'm giving you anything.
All right, let me rephrase, by the way. JJ was 10th overall. Jets were picking 10th, and then the Vikings were picking 11th. They flip-flopped, said, "Oh, we might take JJ." They're like, "Damn it, fine, we'll trade with you." So
I'm pretty sure Josh McCown is not in the inner circle. They're like, when he's at, hey guys, excuse me, adults are talking. All right,
this is the guy.
I don't think he gets the word. I do.
I don't think you just. We know it happens. It's happened with us, but for a more well-run organization, I imagine you're bringing in the guy that you directly need to make work for the sake of everybody's job.
I will tell you, DKB, here's my opinion. Josh McCown was able to do what the entire Jets organization could not do with Sam Darnold. Okay. So he gets a lot more street cred on that than not failing to launch with JJ, who was trashed before, during, and after. Oh. So I give him a lot more credit for what he did for Sam Darnold.
A job is a job. I can't save my company millions of dollars in 2025 and 2026. I say, I'd take a year off.
Well, I appreciate that, but number 1, Josh McCown.
Okay, I love it. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Beautiful.
It's an upgrade at the very least.
Hey, I can't disagree there. I mean, look at what and again, I think that's going to be part of the problem here is the Jets are sifting through these waters. Again, maybe not. Again, so we are just hearing, oh, geez, Charles London was fired and all these other guys. They could have been fired for 2 weeks, as far as we know, and they've done a really good job of keeping all that in-house. That would be interesting, because I would imagine if I'm Charles London, why wouldn't I be screaming from the rooftops I was fired? Why would I want to pretend like I was remaining the quarterback coach of the Jets? So I don't know how long this has all been going on here, but it's interesting nonetheless. I'll be curious to see what names they bring in. Again, this is the test. AG has been around forever. He was a wildly successful NFL player, played 15 years in the league, Pro Bowl level player in his career, and he was a scout for a period of time, and he's been coaching in the NFL for the last 12 years. That's a lot of connective tissue. Can he turn those relationships that he has enough where he's like, hey, you come here? And we're going to find out when pen comes to paper, ink is dry, rubber meets road. Can he bring legitimate people in here in a less than ideal circumstance, to put it lightly?
Yeah. And just, yeah, for the record, right. That was the top 3. I focused on people that people weren't spending a lot of time talking about, and some of them with Jets ties, right? Jay Gruden, as much as we poo-poo it and everything else, was a head coach in the National Football League, right? Was a quarterback, knows that position. So is he the number one hot spot candidate? No, but he was somebody just put out there to inspire some conversation. I feel much better about 1 and 2 than I do number 3.
That's how the 1, 2, 3 works. So very nice job. Appreciate that. We have another super chat coming in here. It's Nate the Great. We have Nate Jetson here with a super chat. Let me get the wow button. I'm a monkey operating a spotlight over here. Here we go. Wow. Thank you for your services, Casey, BG Pops. There you go. Let's add that in for Nate the Great. Thank you very much. And salute to all the coaches that were lost. All the coaches that were lost in the sauce. Pour one out. Although, for anyone that watches the show Traitors, when Alan Cummings has the picture and someone was murdered the night before, he's like, oh, they're lost. And then he spikes the picture of them on the ground. And then they're like, now we must move on. So, well, sorry, Jets coaches, but, we don't have time for a eulogy. We got to find the replacements. That's this Jet show. Not about the past. It's about the future. So, all right, let's keep rolling here. Up next is Bill.
Gentlemen, good happy Saturday to all.
Yes.
I would think with all the assistant coaching changes that have gone on, that just maybe this is indicative that both the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators have in fact been hired. It's just not been announced. Otherwise, these changes are meaningless, because if you hire a new DC, for example, how do you know who he did or did not want as his assistants? And or who is that person bringing in? Well, you would know which guys on your end you would have to let go. So it makes no sense to me, these changes, unless the coordinators have already been hired.
That I hope is just real quick. I hope that's right. That would be great. Again, that would feed the rumor or whatever connecting of dots, the harebrained aluminum foil I put on my head to say, wait a second, they wouldn't have fired these guys unless they had a guy and this and this and this. So right, that supposedly makes sense. And then versus the Tanner Engstrand comment, that makes sense. I'm curious. Hopefully that's a good thing, because I'm concerned if that what you say is true, unless they have a handshake agreement with Jim Leonard. Hey, buddy, you got the job, so keep doing your Broncos thing, and we can't really do this until it's official. I hope that doesn't mean that they did it with someone they're allowed to do it with, right? Like Wink or something. Because Wink, he was fired, so he could just be hired at any time. Jim can't. Jim has to go through this process before the Jets can make it official. So I am curious. I hope that doesn't mean bad news on the Jim Leonard front. But that is a curious thought here, Bill.
Yeah, plus if the new OC has been hired, I would think if he didn't want Engstrand wouldn't be on the staff anymore.
Which could still be
possible. I would think Engstrand may know who the OC is. They may have had some relationship before. They worked together before, and therefore that's why he's still on. Again, otherwise, none of these changes really make sense at this point until the actual people have been hired. So I believe they've been hired, but not yet announced. That's my feeling right now.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And as far as AG, I'm among those who say, okay, he dug himself into this hole, let him get us out.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, the man earned the hole that he's in. I mean, he put himself there. Sure. Between his press conferences, his flip-flops, and then tanking the way they did. It's one thing to tank, but when you're tanking, losing by 20 points or more a game, it riles feathers, no matter whether you're talking about the fan base or ownership. I'm telling you, this is he's done a lot of things wrong. And
But shouldn't we
so
give him more credit, Bill? Because, like, let's think about this for a second. Let's think about this, guys. Here, let me throw an idea out there, right? So, whether you win or lose, you get a win or a loss on the docket. But, like, when you get a blowout win, you're like, yeah, what a flex job. They blew him out. And AG is like, I'm going to blow out lose. I'm not going to just lose. I'm going to go out of my way to make sure I guarantee an L. That takes some next level thinking. Maybe AG should be getting flowers for getting the blowout loss element, which is more difficult to pull off.
With a fan base that already thinks that the Jets are a laughing stock to the rest of the league, for him to play the last 3 or 4 games, which ensures that we're a laughing stock of the league.
Sure.
I understand fully why so much of the fan base not only is down on him, but they already want him out. It's like, get out, please.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
Mike McCarthy, whether we like him as a coach or not, if AG goes, I would like to see him come in because he's an experienced guy with, a great resume as far as playoffs and stuff goes. So I would lean on him because going through new coaches all the time has really been a pain in the ass. Every time we talk about the last good coach, we're talking about Rex. And how many years ago was that already? So we need to get back to respectability. And I think Mike McCarthy would help us get there. But I'm willing to give AG a chance to turn this thing around. I'm hopeful that Muji, if Muji actually says, no, this player, no way, we're choosing a different guy instead. I would like to see more of that. Because so far I like what I've seen from Muji. And go Jets.
There we go.
Everyone have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. Appreciate that. Some good thoughts there. Hey, DKB, real quick. So, like, my people are all Boy Green Coffee Club members. That's their, like, name. What's the name of your people that you rally around on the DKB channel? Did they have do you have a name for it? For anyone who gets that reference, do you have a name, DKB, for these people?
No, we haven't. I just know it's a savage group of fans that I have in my community over there. But we do not have titles yet.
That's okay. So TBD for DKB, no problem. Okay, but I see that we have some people over there, so I want to give them a shout out. Oh, Boy Green is right. Cherish you, sure. Cherish you. Okay, that's what I'm talking about on the DKB channel. Say Boy Green is right. That's the best I've ever heard. Beautiful. Okay. You've got some smart people over there, DKB, some very smart people. And then I see as well, give a shout out to James Baker over there on the DKB channel saying solid content. Keep building, baby. Yeah. Solid. That's what I like. Just rock solid. That's what we're talking about here, baby, on the channel. Keep the love coming, everybody. Again, no matter where you're watching. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. We have over 500 people in the room, for God's sakes. Like the video here on YouTube. Hit subscribe, baby. It's the best. I just surpassed earlier this week 8,300 friggin' subscribers, baby. It is beautiful. So let's keep that train rolling. Toot, toot. Here we go, baby. All right, up next, man with jet tattoo. Carl has entered the Brady Bunch Octobox. What's up, Carl?
Hey, Boy Green. Hey, I supported Aaron Glenn for a long time, but this has become a shit show. This has become a real shit show because I'll tell you what, first of all, Aaron Glenn's job is hanging by a piece of dental floss. Who is he going to get to come here that has any respectability throughout the league that's not going to say, man, this guy could be gone after 2 or 3 games this year? So another thing is we've let go so many coaches. We might as well have a new press conference and introduce Glenn and Moogie as the new head coach and GM because it's
got
like,
some breaking news. Here we go. Some breaking news just coming in. Mike McDaniel just told the Buffalo Bills to go fuck themselves. He was scheduled to meet with them for the head coaching position, and he has pulled out of that meeting and has taken himself out of consideration for the Buffalo Bills head coaching job. Suck it, Buffalo, you bastards. Shout out to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, who just shared that seconds ago.
He's not coming to the Jets.
Well, that's probably true. At least he's not.
But anyway,
nice.
Anyway, the point with this whole thing is that this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Everybody gets fired, so now we're going to have, let's make the equipment manager the offensive coordinator and the head groundskeeper the defensive coordinator, because those are about the guys you're going to get. That's the quality you're going to get. I say right now, call John Gruden. Call John Gruden. This guy is not going to take any shit from anybody, and let him build this team. Because the biggest thing is, I'd say give Aaron Glenn a chance, but we have too much at stake. We have too much money and too many draft picks at stake to let him do it. If it was all Moogie's decision, I'd say yeah, but if he's got an input in it, I'm afraid to waste all this capital that we have. I just don't know. These chances don't come around.
So you're a John Gruden guy.
It's Jets, Jets. I love Fireman Ed too.
Well, he's the one guy I can think of right now that he's not going to take any shit, but the guy's going to come in and do what he wants to do. And he's had success. And I think a lot of people around the league would come and work for him, including his brother.
Yeah.
But I can't support Aaron Glenn anymore. I just can't do it. Not with the capital and the money that's at stake. I just can't let him take that.
That's fair.
This is probably the perfect time. I don't get this perspective from most of the Jets fans, right? So this isn't going to be a quarterback draft for us necessarily in terms of meaning, finding a guy at number 2. So you have all of these draft picks. It's a defensive heavy draft to begin with at the top. Aaron Glenn, regardless of if it was the preferred choice for people, was one of the better minds in that coaching cycle for us to be able to hire and actually have a solid chance of getting. He's going to continue to be motivated to do it. And most of our cap space and free agency, I don't think we're going to spend crazy, right? That doesn't seem to be Moogie's MO. But Aaron Glenn should – actually, let me backtrack. I think Moogie will be able to continue to do a good job of evaluating the proper guys and bringing them in. I think Aaron Glenn will be able to learn from some of the mistakes that he had last year, being a little bit hands-off. And because everything's going to be focused around kind of rebuilding back up this defense and giving the offense enough additional supporting pieces, this is the perfect time for him to take a chance. Now, don't touch anything in 2027. If stuff still looks like a 3-14 team in 2027, can him and move on, I guess. It is what it is. But 2027 is essentially the make or break year, or 2026. It's the make or break year for him and his staff. If it doesn't work out, then yeah, Woody Johnson's going to go back to the 33rd team, and they're going to look and try to scout every offensive mind that they possibly can. And the selling point is going to be 3 first-round draft picks. If we're crap, we're going to have the number 1 overall anyways, and they're going to say, ooh, wow, look at it. We got Arch Manning, and we got Julian Sang, and we got all of these guys. So I don't know what it'll take for Aaron Glenn to technically save his job in 2026, right? It almost feels like it would probably have to be a winning season, not necessarily playoffs, but he would have to do something pretty overwhelmingly positive that Woody Johnson would trust him to be able to make those picks in 2027 when it's going to actually matter for the entire future of the offense. Prior to that, there's not much. I can't imagine him ruining this draft class, right? And we've seen that Moogie and Aaron Glenn nailed the first 3 picks. They don't have the same time constraints or restraints that they had last year, which means they should be a lot more on top of the Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine Bowl, and they should be doing a better job of being able to scout the day 3 guys, where we have a couple extra, rolls of the dice with comp picks and stuff too. So this is the point to push all the chips in, right? And even to the point of like Aaron Glenn, I don't think he's necessarily taken shit. Has he rolled back some of his mentality and bravado and stuff? Yeah, and probably rightfully and smartfully so. But this is still the Aaron Glenn show. Like, we've seen nothing this offseason, nothing since the end of the season to say that he rolled over and his Woody Johnson, Woody Johnson bent Salah over a chair the last couple of years, and Joe Douglas, right? How many more reports are we going to come out saying, no, you can't hire this guy, you can't do this, you can't do that, and forcing decisions? And whether it ends up being in our favor or not, Aaron Glenn still seems like he's pulling all the strings to, he's going to hang himself if he fails,
But
and
that's
it's going to be by his own merits.
But that's the point. The point is that every single coach he hired last year is gone. They sucked. I still believe in Engstrand. I think Engstrand should be the offensive coordinator with some help around him. And I don't believe Aaron Glenn can develop players. He was a great player, but I don't see any evidence that he can develop players. And one other thing, and then I'll go. Why didn't he get more hands-on with the defense last year? If he's such a great defensive coordinator, he didn't. He let that defense. He just let Wilkes do what he wanted, and it got worse and worse and worse every week until the way it went down. He should have said, "Wilkes, look, step aside. I'm calling the defensive plays." That's it. That's it. I mean. That's how I feel about it right now. Hey, and one more thing. Can I just have a shout out? It's my son's birthday today.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
And hey, Dan, happy birthday. And I'm getting really fucking old when my son turns 50.
There you go. Appreciate it. Carl, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to channel my inner DX here, and I've got 2 words for you. Right? Because Carl says, why didn't AG just step in? I got 2 words for you. Plausible deniability. That's what happened. Now, that's not a great answer for
the head coach gets 0 plausible deniability.
But right, I'm not saying the Jet fans should enjoy it, but right. So I got to mention, I'm jumping in AG's brain in the middle of the season. Holy shit, the Steve Wilkes guy was a terrible hire. Now what do I do? So here's what could happen. AG, can take over for Steve Wilkes right now and attempt to save this thing. If I do that and it continues to fail, I am going to get so much shit for the fan base. If I don't step in, I say, whoa, I heard Wilkes. I believed he could do it. So I shove his ass in front of a bus. Now, there is a third possibility, which I think the chances were much smaller, is he comes in and immediately saves the day. But that's not all good, because then if he immediately saves the day in week 10, people could be like, why the fuck didn't you step in earlier, man?
Hey,
so it was all bad.
Yeah. Does what you describe sound like a leader? He was afraid to step in. Doesn't the head coach supposed to be the leader of the team? He is the head motherfucker in charge. And I'm just going to sit back and watch this train wreck, or I can jump in there and grab a hold of it. By the way, Tanner Engstrand needed to be fired. That offense was pathetic, and he was part of the problem. So,
hey,
but yes, you're. I cannot believe what you just said about Aaron Glenn. Plausible deniability. I want this train wreck. Come on.
Okay? So I'm curious though, because everybody like tends to forget the reason that made these coaches like head coach candidates to begin with. What was the difference between what McDermott is not the name? What the
Michael Floor? Who are you talking about?
Kneecaps, Lions.
Dan Campbell.
What's the difference between Campbell and AG and Wilkes?
I don't know. What?
Year 1 was essentially the same kind of crap, right?
Sure.
Detroit Lions, damn near historically inept, completely trash. Aaron Glenn, people are looking at him and they're like, hey, could cut the snake's head off, right? And I'm pretty sure some of these same conversations probably should have been had. What the hell is Dan Campbell doing? He's talking about kneecaps and us pulling, people's Adam's apples out of their throats on the way up and all of this kind of stuff. And we can't stop a nosebleed. We can't do this, that, or the third. People should have been calling for his head too, which I'm sure probably happened, right?
It did.
Oh my goodness.
Sure.
DKP. Have
Why
you
stick
been
with him
influenced? Are you?
and not stick with Steve Wilkes in this case? There's a world of difference between like the coaching talent, and I do think it's a good point, right? Aaron Glenn doesn't look great as a leader when you allow something like that to happen, but he's also not necessarily in a position where his offensive coaching staff is built in a way where he can walk away from them. And again, it's not like he's developing guys over there to that degree, but you can't just walk away from the rest of the team because the defense is floundering so much. When you have this veteran leader that you installed, you expect to get the job done. Should you try to course correct some things? Yes, but you can't essentially just take over and do his job. Otherwise, go ahead and fire him.
Wow. I just seen you've been brainwashed by Boy Green, DKB. Like that is wow. Well, wow.
Okay. Here's just a couple of things. First off, on Tanner, right? The Jets offense was terrible last year. Now, you can argue that guys were running open and things for this, but if, right, like, someone's like robbing a bank and they start just like firing people, and then like it's me or Tanner Engstrand, I'm like, all right, he was my friend, but hey, self-preservation. You got to get rid of somebody, fine. Like, I'm not going, if they end up just straight up either removing him or making him the coffee boy, it's hard for me to get super upset as a Jets fan because our offense was god awful. So if AG thinks he could get something better, then so be it. Were there signs from Tanner? Yes, there were signs I liked, but if they decide to move on from him, AG has more information inside the building than I have out here about it. So on Tanner's front, we can see what happens. Random aside here, because like we talked about earlier, we're trying to find DKB, like a name for his people. So DKB, how old are you?
32, 33.
Okay, good. Okay, we're around the same age, but I was just making sure I'm getting the right pop culture reference here, so it doesn't go above your head. You could be young. I don't know. You look incredibly young. I look like an old man. I got silver whiskers in my beard, for God's sakes. Okay, let me say something and see if this hits you. Okay, so here it is. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots you, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger, too. He's the first member of the DK crew. So DK boys is just like, what about the girls? But DK crew, huh? What about some of that Kong 64 action? DK crew? Pop culture reference?
I might have to steal a jingle or two for that.
Ooh, okay. There we go. Okay, we're getting in the right direction potentially here. Very nice. Okay, let's get another call in before we wrap up the show here, and then we'll give some plugs around the room. We've got Ted, NY Jets FL. Oh, there
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Top of the morning to you.
Good. Paul, I would
Yes,
like to reach out to a former member of your channel, or maybe current member, named
okay.
June the GM, who you and I saw lurking in another chat.
Oh, yes. So,
June,
yes. Yeah.
Another show. June,
Yes.
You're welcome to come back and say that you were wrong about Jackson Dart and his gum chewing, because that is irrelevant to the fact that he's turned out to be a decent prospect, potentially. Sorry, I'm out of breath here. Just trying to work.
No. That's okay.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to shop heavily from the Broncos staff. Being that this broke before that game, I was looking at some of their staff. Davis Webb is on their staff. I mean, I don't know how much direct, influence they have on somebody like Bo Nix, but Davis Webb is an ex-Giant quarterback who's been on the staff for 3 years. If we do get the DC from Denver, maybe we add him as the OC. I mean, with an eye to 27, being that Glenn is technically on a short leash, you might as well. And that would show that Muji would probably stay longer than Glenn would, because I have a high level of confidence in Muji. Your opinions?
I'll say this real quick. First off, Pop, I know you got to go there, so your bacon lights on. You're about to have some great breakfast, apparently, that I'm not having. So God bless. Go enjoy it. Okay, there he is. Pop, drop it off. I'm going to be honest, Ted. Before I get to your point, that caught me by surprise. So I watch a couple of things live in Jets YouTube land. Jets Final Drive is one of them. They normally have really good scoops, so shout out to them. And it becomes Boy Green daily content or articles or anything. So I'm always in there to see, wow, what does Connor Hughes and Zach Roseblatt of SNY and The Athletic respectively, what do they have saved up in there? So I'll go into the comment section, try to ask questions. We'll see if they get to them. Sometimes they go to questions, sometimes they don't. And to my surprise, the first name already in the room, I was like, June, the GM, where the hell have you been, buddy? And then I tried to see if he ever responded. And I don't think I ever got a response, so I have no idea. But yeah, so there you go. June, the GM. That was what the? That's what I said when I read it. I'm like, June, the GM. So June, if you are out there in the universe, you had your own channel and everything else. You just dropped off the face of the earth. So we'd love to hear back from you, pal. Feel free to do so. For sure, but yeah, unbelievable. So, anywho, yes, back to your point, Ted. Sorry, I was distracted like a raccoon with the shiny apple.
Yeah, call in June. We could talk again about the prospects again. Hey, so your opinion, like if we, because I was looking at Joe Lombardi too. Joe Lombardi is the offense coordinator of the Broncos, who is a direct relative of Vince Lombardi. He was on was he the Rams offensive staff or the Chargers, one of the two, and the Broncos.
Chargers, okay. And I think he has Saints ties too, or that could be a different Lombardi, but yes.
So I know I'm fishing in deep waters here, thinking that Muji will stay because they could blow it all up if things don't go well next year. But if there's an eye to 27 where Muji is going to stay, which I think he's stated his case to stay for a little bit, maybe we look to 27 and he can make Joe Lombardi the offensive coordinator because he can't. He's got to make him the head coach rather because he can't do a lateral move, right? He has to be promoted.
Correct.
So maybe Muji has enough contacts in Denver where he can kind of pluck a few from there. I'm not really sure what influence Glenn has. I mean, I know he has a decent amount, but I don't think he's got 100% of the confidence of things going forward, and he shouldn't probably.
Yeah, again, other people have commented on this, so I won't be the first one to break this news. When AG and Muji were introduced together, Woody very openly called Muji AG's sidekick. AG was hired first. We probably didn't even need Woody to say that, but like we sort of drew that. In their most recent press conference together, Muji had a much grander presence. It felt like, again, it's not like Woody came out and said, and here's the guys. There was like no intro that would lead you to say it, but it just sort of like vibe. When I was in the room, not in the room, virtually watching the room, it just seemed like they were on much more equal footing. Muji and Glenn, who didn't really know each other outside of when Glenn once interviewed for the Broncos gig, and Muji was in the room for that part of the interview process. Outside of that, they didn't really know each other. So maybe it's a comfortability. Maybe it's a Glenn loosening up and willing to share more power based on what Muji's doing. But that was sort of the vibe I got. So I think he is going to have some say. And there's obvious crossover because Sean Payton, of course, which Muji was there for, and Glenn, and all of them are interconnected. So that's not a bad tree to pluck if that's where you want to go. So I wouldn't be mad at that pursuit at all.
Real quick, DK, and then I'll drop off. I wonder if this makes 16 in play for a quarterback. That you're willing to bring in a different OC. Maybe they've identified somebody potentially, or even drafting from the second round into the first again. Maybe there's somebody they're going to think they really like highly, and they're gonna just take one now and see what happens, and they can always take one again next year. I'll drop off. Thank you.
There he is, Ted, joining us here on the program. By the way, I want to give a shout out. First off, MFC said, wasn't that a quattro box? I said an octo box. So yeah, I'm an idiot. Math was not what I went to school for. And even if it was, I probably shouldn't champion that on any show after that. Thank you, MFC, for that. Indy, good morning, BG, Pops, DKB, and the Coffee Club. I know Pops isn't seeing this right now, but he is, because I know he's watching while they're eating breakfast. They have it on the TV. I'm like, I know it's 2026 and technology, but when I'm like in the house, they're watching Boy Green Daily on the TV, like, oh, hey, look, it's my son up there. He's on the tube. It is kind of wild to see that. So I know they're watching as they're eating breakfast. I'm jealous, but I'll go into it again. We continue to pray and think for you with everything that you're going through. So we're thinking about bet you Indy wanted to get that in there as well. Do you get any of those vibes, DKB, that, with the OC change, is that some forethought for a quarterback plan? Again, we questioned the quarterback infrastructure that existed with Charles London, Tanner, Scott Turner, and others. Turner's gone. Charles London is gone, obviously. Tanner's being either reassigned or reestablished. So, again, he could hold the OC job and get a senior around him. It could just be a straight-up replacement, and Tanner's in the room. It's still TBD exactly what that's going to be from that perspective. But could this indicate quarterback play with that 16-33 move up from 33 to get that valuable fifth-year option for a guy? Well, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, it's rough because I think it depends on how Aaron Glenn actually views his job security, right? If he thinks it is very fleeting and there's a chance he can get moved on from, then he's going to do everything possible, right? I'm sacrificing picks in 2026.
Right.
I'm trying to go get sure things to make sure that I can get to 2027. And we know that's when things start to crumble, right? Your vision starts to quickly change. Your tunnel vision, everything's about, just trying to make sure you can get to the next day. So not ideal, right? I think this is a draft I would love to just stick and pick or trade down and pick when it makes sense. Try to get as much new talent and fresh blood in here as you possibly can, just to give you as many extra, rolls of the dice as possible. But we also can't forget, and this is just kind of an indictment of how the staff was built, but to your credit, who was supposed to be the guy that actually developed quarterbacks? Because Charles London, who just got the job in 2021, wasn't going to be that guy. It wasn't going to be Tanner Engstrand because he was a passing game coordinator. So you work heavily with, but your job isn't to develop the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's to poke holes and be able to understand how to break down the defense. Scott Turner wasn't going to be that guy. He was essentially supposed to be the veteran play caller to make sure we can just structure like our beginning 15 plays right and then make adjustments in game and help kind of bring Tanner's vision to life. So it was really like Justin Fields is kind of actually out there on his own, right? It's here's kind of some things we can do to make life easier, but it's not actually teaching him necessarily how to play quarterback. So there were things I liked, like Charles London having the GoPro and the helmets thing makes a ton of sense, right? Be able to go out there, understand the process, see what the quarterback is seeing, try to fix some things. But if you aren't the guy that can actually develop some people, then you can guess and you can kind of see what works. But it was really just one big science experiment looking back on it. So I think everything for me 100% just depends on who's going to be the new quarterback coach. And I start from there. If that hire doesn't look like it's going to be a good one, everything else is really just kind of a best of luck type situation for me, because it's not, we could bring in Harbaugh or a Sean Payton or whatever this other mind is that people would think could save the New York Jets in a theoretical world. And it's going to crash down if we don't have that infrastructure in place for us. So we'll see. I don't love the idea of taking a shot just to take a shot. And even for the names out there that people love, like a Trinidad Chambliss or whatever, it's like, those come with drawbacks too, right? He doesn't have an elite arm. He's undersized. If you love a Drew Aller, it's like, cool, he brings the Josh Allen vibes, but he can't really play quarterback well. So, make a Caesar salad out of the chicken shit that we have is basically what we have going on for now.
This is the thing that you said it at the beginning of your answer. The thing that I don't understand from fans is they say Aaron Glenn is a dead man walking. Hey, dead man, don't use any of our picks on quarterbacks or anything else. Like, die like you're supposed to. And then we go into the mind of AG. How does AG feel about his job security? On the outside, there's flames everywhere, and he's on the hot seat. And if he feels that, and I'm AG, fuck them picks. I might not be here. I'm going to grab, when you're dying, I don't know this, I've never died, but you're like falling into a pit. You are grabbing anything to save yourself. I'm grabbing vines, I'm grabbing people's legs. Hey, if I can pull you up to get me out, I am desperate for life or death. That's the edge as a coach. You either have a job or you don't. What can I do to save my job? What can I do? And if I say to myself, hey, Raiders, you want 1,000 first-round picks for Fernando Mendoza? Now, again, some of these bigger moves require owner approval, so he can't just willy-nilly do it. But from all accounts, AG has more power than the common man. So I think if AG feels the heat, we are going to know that based on the moves that occur. If AG is like crazy, wildly aggressive in a different way that we saw in year one, that will indicate he obviously feels the heat. If there was somewhat of a moderate play with everything, that's going to indicate to us, like, holy shit, he must feel a certain type of way from Woody here, despite whatever everyone's yelling from the outside. All of those trade assets and picks, a tip of the cap. We know this is a multi-year plan or what have you, because I think that's part of it. But that's the thing where I get lost from fans. They say, hey, you're a dead man walking, but don't waste any of our picks to try to save yourself, because we just want you to die so we can replace you, so the next guy could do all those picks. And that's sort of where it gets lost a little bit. I see we have a lot of activity. First town, T-Town Jet, baby. Good Lord, I can't get the words working here. T-Town. Hennessy Heisman. A few people may be drinking some Hennessy after all of the Jets battle scars they've been through their entire life, for God's sake. So appreciate that. A couple more raffle tickets for you. And also we've got a super chat cooking here. Let's get to some of that action here on the channel, DKB. And it comes from Ace of Spade. Appreciate the super chat. Let's hear from my daughter, Zariah Luna, who, by the way, I'll say this tomorrow, she turns 4 tomorrow. So early happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, Zariah Luna. I'm going to screw this up. My fiance did it. I keep thinking restore the roar, but that's a stupid Lions thing. So that's not it. It's roar, I'm 4. She did this whole dinosaur thing she built over there, which is amazing. And again, beyond my pay grade, but wow. So I believe what Ace of Spade is trying to say here is, should a new OC, or basically should an OC have if whoever the Jets bring in as the OC have power to keep Tanner Engstrand as a passing game corner or get rid of him? I see the words here, but I think some of them might be messed up, because it says salute a new OC has to be okay with Tanner Engstrand as the passing game corner. So I'm going to interpret the Ace of Spade. If I'm wrong, I will fix it. Feel free to follow up. But I believe what you're trying to say is, will the new OC have the power to keep Tanner or not? And I would assume yes. That has to be part of the package. He's going to have some say on the offensive assistants that are there. We've heard a few of them are safe, but maybe that could change unless they already know who the guy is. So yes, I believe that person, depending on his gravitas, I suppose, if they get a young upside guy, will he have the balls to just say, yeah, get rid of Tanner, get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy? If it's I don't think this guy's coming, but he apparently has a really good relationship with Aaron Glenn. If Brian Dable came in here and just got it, I think he'd have the power to get rid of whoever the hell he wants in terms of the assistant. So again, I think it's going to pertain to level. Again, I don't know if a young guy, and again, a young guy could be brash. A young guy could say, yeah, fire this guy, fire this guy, fire this guy. So I am being a little stereotypical with putting people in boxes. Older guy, more confident, knows. Like, the older people get, the less of a filter that exists. They sort of just shoot from the hip. Again, I'm sorry for stereotyping, but it just sort of seems like the shoe fits there. So yeah, I think it depends on who the guy is. That's sort of my gut. What's your response to this, DKB?
Yeah, one of the things I came across yesterday was looking at the Steelers, right? And for as much credit, as much as I hate to say it, as well run as we've seen like the Patriots, or we've seen some of these other organizations like Ravens, Steelers, etc. If you look at the Steelers, they might technically be like the true pinnacle of the NFL, right? 19 winning seasons under Tomlin, 3 or 4 head coaches in like their 60-year history. Like, when you look at them and their process and what they've done really, really good, that should technically be the blueprint. And what have they focused on? It's been young, essentially unproven coaches at the head coach spot. And then they've been able to figure things out with the OC. But because they have the main guy installed and they've been willing to kind of ride that out and see what that looks like, it's allowed them a lot more kind of malleability with what they want to do with their organizational structure. We have to kind of get to that place, but Aaron Glenn has already kind of kiboshed that initial plan with just how bad it was, right? I think if we even just got to the 6 wins, this conversation looks drastically different for us. But I think there's not that many offensive coordinators that would come to mind for me that whether they're young or old would necessarily come in and immediately start trying to like demand some of these things. Because my thought process would be everybody's coming in it's not what I want, but technically walking on eggshells, right? Like I'm taking this job and I'm betting on myself, but I can't necessarily make, too many waves here. Otherwise, we might capsize the boat here and I'm still trying to be employed in 2027. So, yeah, I don't know if you got a Brian Daboll, sure, let him do, whatever it is he wants to do. The man's proven and he's shown that he can get things to work. But if we go, I don't know, it feels like youth is the way to go, right? At the very
Probably.
least,
Yeah.
take the risk. If things look decent but not good enough to save AG's job, then you at least can look for the new offensive mind in 2027, and they kind of have, an up and coming crew of people that they can cast through and kind of look at already in the building.
Yeah. What do I want and what do I think is going to happen are two different things. What I want is an experienced guy that has fucking done this offensive coordinator job like nobody's business, and there's a clear track record of success. And I'm fine if that's an older person. No issues there. The older you are, the more experience in theory that you would have. That makes a lot of sense. What I think is going to happen is where you're at, DKB, is that I think it's the perfect marriage. AG goes, hey, I need somebody, and I think the somebody that's going to be willing to take this job is someone that wants that first shot, that has upside. It's Tanner Engstrand, but in a different body. Hey, random whiz kid, you've never been an OC before. I'm about to give you a fucking opportunity to be an OC of an NFL team. And I'm giving you your shot, and this could flame out. We're both fired, but I'm going to give you your shot because, well, I've got no other choice. And they go, boop, boop. Again, maybe there's a Wink Martindale on offense that has been sort of cast out of the league, and he wants his shot to get back in. And AG looks at the bench and goes, damn it, you old bastard. Let's push that sun into the sky one more time. Come on now and get him there. But my gut tells me that the next OC hire will be a young upside shot. It could work out like Chris Bancho. It could flame out like, in this case, apparently Tanner Engstrand. So, but that's what what I want to happen versus what I think is going to happen. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. So, things can change. By the way, Ace of Spade explained that salute is a sign of good morning. I didn't see, I interpret it as just a sentence. I didn't break it up. So that's on me, Ace of Spades. So I apologize. So salute to you, sir. Top of the morning. Salute to you, sir. Yes, in the audience. And now when you see salute as the intro, as the greeting, a new OC has to be okay with Tanner as the passing game coordinator. So we did interpret it right on the back end there. We did screw up the salute. And thank you for all the happy birthday wishes. Guys, I hope you guys send 1 million super chats tomorrow so we can just get Zariah Luna's wow over and over again for a birthday special tomorrow. So thank you very much. And it seems like you have more to add. Go ahead, DKB.
Yeah, I think what I hope happens, right? And I think we chatted about this before, is Aaron Glenn was doing so many things in year one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the front office. I'm firing 1 billion people that don't want to be here anymore there. I'm talking to Darren Muji. I'm essentially acting as his boss in year one, and I'm telling him, here's the things I want and like and how I expect things to be done. I'm hiring this whole staff. I'm going through the free agents and all the stuff that, the job entails at that point. But we can all honestly put out there that he was basically acting like Woody Johnson to a certain degree, right? With just how much he took on. My hope is the press conference that we saw showed a much more confident Darren Muji. And so now he takes all of the front office stuff essentially off Aaron Glenn's hands. And all Aaron Glenn has to do is say, yes, I'm in these meetings and I either like what's happening or I don't. It's a process thing. I don't like this. This is what I think can make it better. Make it happen. Darren Muji, does his work. And Aaron Glenn lives on the coaching field. I think if he's going to survive, his best bet is going to be focusing 100% on the players. And that's it. No more of this nonsense about gag orders to the media. No more of this, I got to play GM and head coach. Focus on the players. Because by all accounts, I haven't heard a player, and I could have missed something. I don't recall a player really taking shots or dissing Aaron Glenn or saying he hasn't been the guy so far. It's been Steve Wilkes, it's been Aaron Curry, it's been Eric Washington, and
Correct.
we've seen the list of other fires that have come on. So everything else that still sticks in my mind is players saying, yeah, offensive, defensively, special teams, Aaron Glenn comes up. He's going through it with everybody. He's, giving me pointers about stuff that I didn't even know that he was watching or knew about or cared about and all this kind of stuff. So there's something to him to where he can still connect with the players. He's still obviously a good coach. The turnaround was definitely a lot on him just as much as Campbell or whoever else. He has that in his bag. So for the people saying he has no experience rebuilding a team, not as a head coach, but he's done the rebuild and he's done it successfully. We just need him to be able to hone in on how he can make the biggest impact and get that done. And that's going to be on the field. So I'm hoping with Darren Muji's rise, that has not just a trickle-down effect, but a waterfall. And we see Aaron Glenn just kind of lock in this year, and it's a completely different story from what we saw last year.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. That's good TLC advice from our guy, DKB. Look at this T. Rivera, baby, with a 5-pack of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships. Turn the F up, youngsters. Or more, we have to celebrate, and let's do it, baby. Shakalaka. Oh, yeah.
I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Yes, I hope we are, AG. By the way, T. Rivera, appreciate that. You've got 11 raffle tickets now to our contest. You're the 5 new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club. And then I want to throw a name at you, DKB, that just hit me like an epiphany of a name that could be the next Jets offensive coordinator. I'll reveal that here in just a moment. Let me read the 5 new members first. We've got 25. Okay. Spaceman, Draft Geeks, Jets fan since birth, and Aaron Poyer. You guys are on that members of the Boy Green Coffee Club. That's what I'm talking about, baby. If you want to show that love, continue to do so on YouTube. Again, support DKB and myself here on the program. Okay. Another super chat coming in from our boy Ace of Spade. Let's hit this up here on the program. Wow. Thank you. I'm a dumb animal, so I appreciate this time saying salute. That was a greeting. Wink. Tanner needs a mentor, not a demotion, which again could potentially be in the mix here. We're interpreting what an insider said because it wasn't just so black and white how he described it. And maybe he doesn't know because how it was described to him was not black and white. And thus that's how he shared it. So there is a world where Tanner, like, it still feels like a demotion no matter what, but like maybe there is a world where Tanner stays as OC and we get his Obi-Wan Kenobi. We get his Yoda. We get his mentor that is this retired old detective that wants one more run, but his run is channeling and vicariously living through a younger version to see him have success, and thus he gets off with that sort of success. So maybe that is a way for this to roll. Ace of Spade, maybe that's possible. Again, at this point, it certainly feels more demotion than potential mentor, but I still think that's in the cards until we're proven otherwise here of what the assessment is. So the name I'm about to bring up, I don't think it would be a mentor. You know, you could get mentored by any age, I suppose, but I don't think this would be a mentor situation. I think this would be a replacement situation. So let me throw this at you, DKB, and you're an honest guy. We've established that. You sort of give it to me straight here. You're a straight shooter. Okay, here it is. Here's the name. What about Bobby Slowick? This is a guy who was the architect, a big piece of CJ Stroud, incredible rookie season that was awesome, and then it all fell apart. Bobby Slowick got fired not this season. It was the year prior. He got fired, and he sort of been a cast-off. Most recently, he spent time with the Dolphins after 2 seasons as the OC with the Texans, where they won 2 AFC South titles. He interviewed for a bunch of head coaching jobs. He's 38 years of age. I've seen him interviewing all over the place. What about that? And again, AG comes up to him. He says, I'm down in the dumps. You're down in the dumps. I'm going to give you the chance of a lifetime with this shitty situation. If you come here and the Jets keep sucking, they're going to blame us because we're the Jets. If you do awesome, you're going to get all the rose petals for turning this around and maybe immediately become a head coach somewhere, which would be great for us. If he became a head coach, I mean, he must have done some awesome shit with us for a brief period of time. What about Bobby Slowick, who had proven it with Houston in that magical year of CJ Stroud? The second year wasn't nearly as good, but it was still good enough. The offense wasn't that bad. And we give Bobby Slowick the chance to be the guy. Your thoughts, DKB? Lay it on me.
Yeah, I think when when I look at that Texans offense, I give most of the credit to quarterback coach Gerard Johnson. That's where my initial mind immediately goes to. A lot of people have to do a lot of good things to make an offense work. That's just the nature of how kind of that thing goes. But I think Gerard Johnson gets most of that credit to get a rookie quarterback to be able to play to that level, to be able to get him to work with the pieces that they would have had at the time. Because I don't think anybody looks as their wide receivers as necessarily this, prime version in the NFL or their tight ends, right? And the offensive line, especially on the interior, has huge struggles. So to me, that means you have a quarterback playing outside of his mind, and some of the other structural things are working just well enough to, give you a competent, elite, above average offense wherever they end up kind of varying at there. But it's still not a bad option. But if I'm kind of ranking some of these other young or potential guys where it's like you kind of had a Joe Burrow's like year in your potential role, and we want to see if we can recapture that. I still look at the Bucks guy as kind of my main go-to.
Grizzard, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, I could understand going in that direction for sure. By the way, I'm being told salute is an Italian toast for good health or cheers. DKB, are you Italian?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I knew it. All right, so you should have told us about this salute thing. That's definitely on you, but I won't blame you. You're the guest.
It in the family. We gotta.
Yes, there you go. If you would have done that, I would have gotten it a lot quicker, for sure. But I appreciate that. Thank you for that explanation, MC Green. Well, this has been a marvelous show. Just getting over the 2-hour mark. Man, a lot of news. Again, when I reached out to DKB, I had no idea. I had a list of topics of things I could have talked about with you. But then all of a sudden, boom, a friggin' snowstorm did head outside my house and literally to our social media feeds with all of these firings. And we're just on the precipice of so much. We were already on the precipice of, this DC hire has to be happening here soon. We just this past week that just occurred is where here on the weekend, in-person interviews took place. That's the finalists for this job. So imminently, we got to be learning of this DC. Plus, there's some other nuggets that we talked about today where it seems like we're getting close. So we're going to have that. And we've had the shows of speculating who the guy could be. Once you get the guy, then you have all these other shows of studying history and trying to understand, I'm making this up. Let's say they're not bringing this guy in. He's not coming. But Matt Burke, the Texans defense coordinator, if they brought him in, you're like, let's look at his history. These Texans players could follow him. And then there's all these other shows of breaking down schematics, players that could follow, trade situations, free agent fits. He runs a 4-3. He runs a 3-4. Like there's going to be, there's the pre and then there's the post. And that's going to happen at offensive coordinator too, whoever they end up bringing in there. So it is going to be fascinating to see, but a wild show. Pop, DKB, coconut guns that fire in spurts. I mean, it was all over the place, man, and terrific. And I want to give a shout out to the DK crew for tuning into the show. We're still seeing if that shoe fits. Let us know in the audience. But awesome. So everyone, please make sure you guys like the video, whether you're watching on DKB or the Boy Green channel. Appreciate it. And if you're a fan of Boy Green, please, I highly recommend you go subscribe right now to DKB Jets and show your support over there. And let's spread the love. Let's pump up both of the channels. That'd be marvelous. So DKB, any plugs, anything you got cooking, anything else you want to share before we sign out of here?
No, nothing. Well, I shouldn't say nothing major, I guess. But I mean, playoffs are finally done for college. So I'm getting ready to start working through positional breakdowns, which is always fun. And we have Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl stuff coming up soon. So I'm looking forward to see. From what I saw on the invite list and the people that accepted, like Ruben Bain, I think was one of the most recent names out there. So I think this is probably one of the better bowl cycles that we're going to see with some of the talent that'll be out there in the first round. So I'm kind of excited to kind of start getting the channel prep for draft content.
There you go. Well, some bad news to share, unfortunately. Ruben Bain will be attending, but I believe he is going to only be participating in meetings with teams and things of that nature. He will be tapping out, which, again, not a slight to Ruben. They just went to the freaking national championship, for God's sakes, and several other of the Miami folks, and I imagine even maybe some of the Indiana ones won't be participating on the field. That was reported from, who's the other one? Who's the Indiana corner? His name is escaping me. Pons. He's another one. Scheduled to go to the Senior Bowl. I imagine he's going to still there's a lot of media stuff involved. He will not be participating on the field. Dane Brooklow of The Athletic shared that yesterday. So disappointing news, but totally understand it for the players. You don't want to force get hurt. That's the worst thing that could happen. I go back to Jalen Smith, the former Notre Dame All-Star linebacker, been a top 10 pick. He gets hurt in the Fiesta Bowl, in a bowl that some people said he shouldn't have even played in. It changed his career forever. He ends up being a second-round pick instead of a top 10
It's like
pick.
one of the first guys that took the insurance policy out, though, to kind of bet against.
Right, so he got $1 million or $2 million, whatever that was, but still, the whatever 30, 40 million that he could have gotten.
He still had a pretty solid career.
He had a nice career,
Freaking
Yeah, thankfully for him, he still had a respectable career. But man, some of these guys don't even get that lucky, where they still end up being a top 40 pick and just collapse entirely. So again, look out for your own health out there in the universe. It still should be awesome. The Shrine Bowl, I've been seeing the practices, updates, Senior Bowls this upcoming week. So you know what? Draft stuff. This is our time of the year, baby, to get it through. So we're going to be here no matter what. And DKB, it's been a lot of fun doing a couple of these with you. We'll see if we can keep this train rolling. Toot, baby, and keep these up. These collabs have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I always enjoy it. We have a ball community that you have. It's comedians, it's Star Wars. It's you got it all in here, so it's awesome. And happy birthday again in advance to your daughter. Hopefully, you guys have an awesome day tomorrow.
Thank you. Yes, the one and only Zariah Luna, baby. Yes, it's awesome being a dad. You know it better than anybody, DKB, being a parent yourself. So I can't wait. So yes, thank you for all the birthday wishes today, folks. She will turn 4 tomorrow, and so I hope we get a lot of wows tomorrow. That'll be awesome for her. I love hearing that every time. So folks, on the way out with the 500 people in the room, again, make sure you guys like the video. That's a free way to contribute. Me and DKB probably say that all the time on the videos. Like the video, like we're some millennial or whatever. But no, it makes a huge difference. That's how it gets my Jet show in front of other audiences. That's how it gets DKB's Jet show and other audiences, and spread the love. And also hit subscribe. Both of those are free to do to help support the channel. And I see we're just only a couple of subscribers away from 8,310. So we just keep chipping, baby. I appreciate you guys in the universe. We will see you tomorrow morning for another episode of Boy Green Daily. And if any breaking news happens, you'll see me in the YouTube Shorts. That is a place I'm very comfortable with at 5'2". So there you go. Thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.